Good afternoon, everybody, and a very morning even. Good afternoon, morning even again. Number 94 of Ask the Accountant. The date is the 12th of August, 2024. My name's Aaron Patrick, one of your hosts, and with me, as always, is Johann. And Johann, I've heard that it's a bit bleak where you are. Do you want to tell us a bit more?
Bleak. If I fly a kite, I will discover electricity. It's torrential downpour and bolts of lightning and rolling thunder. If there's a white flash and I don't come back, you know the shed's been hit. But yeah, it's a traditional August Scottish morning here. How's it down your end?
To be fair, blue skies. Looks lovely out there. It has been raining, but yeah, no, it looks lovely. Looks lovely. And as always, we're with our amazing community. We've got Cheryl here. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you? We've got Natasha here. Good morning, Natasha. We've got Louise here. Good morning, Louise. We've got Paul here. Good morning, Paul. We've got Ashley here. Good morning, Ashley. We've got Marcus here. Good morning, Marcus. And we've got Susanna here as well. It's the glorious 12th today. It is. Yeah, it certainly is. So we've got a big show lined up today. Oh, and Kirsty's here as well. Kirsty is here as well. We've got a big show lined up today. We've got quite a bit to talk about, including a brand new section, which we're going to trial, see what that happens with. But before, how's your week been, Jan? We've not really asked you that question yet. Has it been a good week, bad week?
Busy dealing with stuff I shouldn't have to be dealing with. So I've got quite a few clients at the moment that are doing exceptionally well. They've landed some nice big contracts with some big companies, and they're growing at a rate in knots, which is amazing. It just means obviously we need to pick up the pace at which we're doing things for them. But then they're also picking up new employees. So one of our clients is just, well, 3 of our clients have picked up new office people in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And we've now come across the headache that is QuickBooks user permissions. So yeah, that's causing me a headache because now all 3 clients want to move to 0.
Yeah.
Because Xero don't put user controls and user permissions behind a paywall like QuickBooks now do, and the ones that QuickBooks let you choose from are quite frankly ridiculous. So we've got a choice. We either increase their software bill by 40 quid and put them on QuickBooks Advanced so they can have the control that Free Agent and Xero give them free of charge, or we move platforms. So I could really do without moving platforms if I'm honest, but yeah, I'll have to decide what we're going to do with that. It might be a case that actually, to save me the time and effort of moving platforms, we're going to have to take the hit on the advanced license because my clients won't. They've already said that. Yeah, so bloody software's thinking what they're putting things behind paywalls does my head in. But yeah, other than that, it's been a good week. Busy at Client Engager as always. So lots going on there, lots of plates spinning, lots of improvements on the roadmap and stuff. But yeah, not bad. How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good. Busy, really busy. I'm due to go on holiday in a few weeks' time. So for me, it's just getting all the ducks in row, make sure I can walk away from the country without causing too many issues. So yeah, it's good fun. Tim's here as well. Good morning, Tim. Glorious blue sky and 27 degrees expected for Paul down south. So maybe that's the north-south divide showing you there that what it's like to live down south. And Paul says, can't you sell the other advanced services as they are growing? Good point.
We've gone through it all. We've gone through the list, and they said that we don't need any of that crap. Because as they point out, that they've already got a lot of that in the form of SIF analytics, float cash flow. They've got a lot of those features, and they're just like, no. And they refuse to pay for user permissions, which other softwares give them for free. So
that's a no then. That is a no. Jodley's here as well. Good morning, Jodley. Hope you are doing well. All right, first topic of the day then. Hot on the heels of Tax Calc last week. It's almost like they planned this because last week we informed you how Tax Calc has a new update brewing. Is it actually live? Yeah, I think it was live, wasn't it, when we were talking about it? I think it was there. KPM are hot on their heels, and they've released their dividend database within self-assessment. So just like TaxCalc, just like the idea here is it gives you an opportunity to directly import dividend data from listed companies in the FTSE 100 and 250. This will automatically find and fill dividend data into your SA 100 forms. Simple as open your self-assessment module, select client, make sure that you could say what shares they already hold, and the rest is automatically imported for you. So great news, right? Like, this is what we want. This is what we want. We want each of them to bring out a new feature. I wouldn't say this is all that new, but it's still good to see that it's there. Bring out a new feature and the others follow suit. That's what innovation breeds, isn't it? That's good news for everyone, right?
It is, but again, they're stifled by the time it takes for the registers to be published, aren't they? Like, you know, we are in August. Like, what about all those tax returns you wanted to do between April and August? You've had to do it all manually. You've had to dig out the information. These software companies now need to be lobbying the people that create these registers and going, look, we need more real-time information. In today's modern age, when payway is real-time, you've got no excuse. Well, allegedly. Allegedly real-time.
No,
but yeah,
I know what you mean.
In systems and modernization softwares, like there's no real, with the right legislation forcing companies on the FTSE 500 to issue dividend updates to the database within a set period of time of the release of the dividends. So if you've voted on dividends and they've been issued, I believe there should be legislation that forces those companies to update the register with that information within a month. I don't think that's unreasonable. And then that database should be within a month real-time information. So we shouldn't need this whole, it's August and 23, 24's dividend information's there. Like, it should be a non-issue in today's world.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, to be fair, do they need it to be a month? I mean, the worst case scenario you're going to have is a March year end, and a March year end declaring their dividends before June. That's a 3-month period, because you're not going to have all your P60s and everything else in place, are you, realistically, at that point? So potentially you can give them a 3-month period. But I do see.
I also question, like, these companies that take forever to give P60s out. Like, you've got the payslip information on software. It's a click of a button. In some software, it's not even it's an automatically generated document. Like, yeah, so that we can do the job that we want to do and the level of service that we all want to do it to, we need people to pick it up. And you know what? It's the big companies that always take forever with P60s and stuff.
Yeah, but then they've got a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it, for them? Like, they're talking.
But they've also got antiquated softwares.
True, but that's because that's only software that will deal with the complexity they need, right? Like, we've said this before, there isn't really anyone out there who's pushing that payroll boundary that's really innovating on it. And you know, we thought we found that solution, and
I say there was at one point.
Yeah, exactly. So it just feels like it is tricky for them, that size, because also they don't want just a payroll solution. They want a payroll and employment expense management and a holiday tracker and a HR functionality and you know, connect to their commission reports. Like, those bigger businesses need so much more than just a payroll solution. You know, they need it in Salesforce, right? Like, that's what they need it in their CRM solution. So it is, I can kind of, it frustrates me. I'm on board with it, but your Rolls Royces of the world and people like that, they're always going to take the time to get that information.
Well, right, and people like the NHS are still faxing information backwards and forwards. So, Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. You know, P11Ds, thankfully, that's going soon, right? So that could be a chance to make it. Although we're kind of sat there going, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's easy. We just stick it on a monthly one. I imagine those big companies are sat there crying into their cornflakes every morning when they think that, you know, come next April, I believe it's next April it starts, that their payroll run is going to be far more complicated than it's ever been before, right? So yeah,
all the joys. But yeah, though it's a good update from KPM. It does make life easier when you've got it. But yeah, and yeah, it's interesting. Like, I've done a survey recently amongst engaged users as to who uses which softwares and stuff for accounts and tax returns. And it is these little features that seem to put other softwares ahead. Like, I've got a dividends database, and yeah, it takes 3 months to update, but once it's there, it's actually quite quick and easy. It's worth, we tell the clients we can't do it early and stuff. So yeah, it's another feather in their cap for KPM's accounts and tax return production.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they're cloud-based, there's only a handful of other cloud-based accounts production and tax return production solutions out there.
Don't have dividend databases, I don't believe.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you would have thought a cloud-based one would be easier to implement, right? Like, naively looking at this as just you just plug it in, right, and the API and done. Obviously, it's not as simple as that, but you would have thought that if you're already on a cloud-based infrastructure, that would be easier to connect to another database than TaskCalc, for example, because TaskCalc's desktop-based, right, and going to have to keep asking the thing, and it's got to keep updating the database and download, or however it's going to achieve that. You would imagine that a cloud-based infrastructure would be easier to implement it. So that's good. It's good news. It's for me, straight away I've got wins out of that. I've got clients who just have so many small portfolios of they're dabbling in the stock market, right? So this could be a nice easy way for me just to extract that information, ask them to agree it, are they happy with it, and Bob's your uncle, right? It's done. So
yeah,
small wins, but good wins, definitely. Good wins, definitely. Have you do you know any of your team who's played around with the TaskCalc one? Any feedback on it or anything?
We really don't have any clients that have these kind of shares anymore, unfortunately. Like, we had a few back 5-6 years ago, but unfortunately they're dead. Like they generally were the people that had these kind of little bits shareholdings and stuff. It was people that had got them through back when shareholdings were given as retirement bonuses and 10-year service, and or there's been an acquisition and all of our employees will get a little shareholding type thing. And like, yeah, we don't really see it in our client base anymore. It's mainly dividends are mainly issued from their own limited company, which don't happen to be on the FTSE 500, funnily enough.
And the fact it's 500 means that you miss out on all the Apple and everyone, which is what most people are investing in, right? That's most people are. Although I suppose they don't really pay dividends, so it's not that big a deal, is it? But
those clients that we have got that kind of put money into shares and stuff, they generally do it for one central platform. So I've got a client who invests in shares, but they do it through St. James's Place. So I just get a lovely statement at the end of their tax year going, this is where all of our shares were. These are the movements. This is it. And this is the end result. And it's like, nice. And a lot of our younger clients that are doing share investments, because it's not seen as old school or anything, but our younger clients that do it generally are investing in all sorts of weird and funny places, including like Alphabet and Apple and stuff. But they're using like a software which will then deliver a report at the end of the year for us. So because they want it all on the app, don't they? They don't want to have a million different logins for a million different shares. They want this is the platform I invest in. A bit like cryptocurrency. Like, people had a platform that they put their money into, and that was it. They might do a broader investment spectrum, but it was one platform to manage it all.
Yeah. I mean, most of my clients are doing it like outside of your older generation, like you said, who has like the more set up. But most of my kind of clients where this will affect are doing it through things like Revolut, and like it's just because it's easy for them, right? Like, it's a couple of clicks, they're in, done. See how it goes. If it's done well, maybe put a bit more in. If not, they've not. They've learned their lesson, sort of thing. And I feel like that's, in this day and age, for the majority of our type of clients, that's the sort of mentality you have, isn't it? It's almost gambling to them, isn't it?
Yeah, like we've got one client who does it through Virgin Bank, and to be fair to Virgin, like because he banks with Virgin, so it's so easy for him to just transfer the fund, like any slush funds, as it were, that he's not spent in the month. I'll put that into my share portfolio, and Virgin just send him a letter once a year saying, here's your tax position for the year. So like this FTSE 100, like these dividend databases, for me, I do even wonder how long there'd be a real valid reason to have them, if that's the route that the current generation are moving into.
Yeah. And it's so easy nowadays to give accountants access as well to most of these platforms, right? I've got a couple of them where we have our own access. We go in, we grab the data we need, and job done. So it's been one of those things that's been requested for a long time of all the stuff, because I mean back when I was in using Iris, which was what, 10 years ago now, they had this functionality. So yeah, good to see it. Let's hope though that they can keep it updated, keep it flowing through, and we can go through from there. And hopefully it's not as frustrating as the world of getting your P60 information directly in, because that's still, and this isn't Jim's or Practical's problem, but yeah, geez, like that should be by now solved, right? Like that should be.
We still don't bother with it. Like we still turn back to our client and say, we need your P60.
Yeah, but
because we're not. I've got no confidence in what HMRC produce, or the reliability of being able to go to HMRC and they have the information.
Yeah, I mean, what we use it for is our P60 said X, but their software says B, so that means they're going to come back and say the thing, but why? Like, what's gone wrong? So it kind of solved that issue before submission, but yeah, it is what it is. Cool. All right, good work, KPM. And on to the next bit of news. For me, I feel like this is a bit of a hashtag goals, isn't it? I would say from my point of view. But Mazuma has gone round and had a bit of investment lately, and they've gone and they've looked at bringing on new staff to help bring it in, and they've definitely put a staff member in who has turned heads, let's say. Gary Turner, the former UK managing director and co-founder of software giant Xero, has been appointed to the board of directors at Mazuma. Lucy goes on to say that they are really excited about what this brings and going forward from there. And he's coming on basically to look at improving the Maz app platform, which is their own inbuilt accounting or bookkeeping solution they give their clients, and he's basically there to help bring that technology side up, like bring it from there. I mean, you've got the guy who helped bring Xero to relevance, right? What more would you want? I mean, we were talking off air, weren't we? That's the equivalent of us going for Chris Evans or someone from QuickBooks side, or bringing it from there. That is, I mean, just the fact that they get to say that they've got Gary Turner on board. Wow, that is a big push. And for us accounting firms out there, shows us what opportunities there are with it. Building your own platform. I think a lot of people, when they heard the fact that Mazuma were going down the whole building their own platform and not partnering with someone else like we've done, and you've just said there, your big problems is you have no control over it, right? Like they've changed their way for you, and now you're in issues with your preferred partner. In this way, they've got full control over it. And yes, they may always be behind a little bit in terms of the technology, and they may be doing catch up on certain scenarios, but they've built this technology exactly how they need it so that their workflows are as good as they get. And bringing someone like Gary on board is quite impressive in terms of that caliber, isn't it? That's hats off to it.
Your investors are going to be happy, aren't they? And it probably helps you get more investment as well, because you've got people like Gary sat there with his pedigree. So yeah, no, congratulations to them. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. As I said to you off air, like it's a challenge, like going into that market where you're feeding on scraps from the QuickBooks Xero, Sage, free agent table. Like we've seen people come and go. It's a really hard competitive market where a lot of investment money can be spent and not regained. So, we had Coconut. You've got the likes of Tide and Starling Bank seem to be getting into that space at the moment, ready for MTD. you've got line books, you've got counting up, there's a lot of them out there. So you've got to really have a bespoke offering that's really got a USP and something that actually has value and credibility to the user. Like, because very competitive space for them. I mean, if anyone can help them carve out a chunk of it, it will be Gary. But yeah,
I imagine though that, I mean, that's on the assumption that they're going to go to market with just the app, right? Because I think their USP at the moment, isn't it, is join our accounting firm and here's a bespoke app built for our needs. And and I'll always remember Lucy's story about the purple envelopes or pink envelopes. So there was a color envelope anyway, and that's how she kind of started her business. Was here's an envelope, we'll pass it over to you and go from there. And that's how it evolved basically into what is now the Maz app platform. And with Gary on board, I mean, tinfoil hat moment, isn't it? But you'd imagine that there would be a conversation at least happening, like you said, about get that Maz app out into the world. Let's see how we can, how we can get that out there and have an opportunity to go against those. But
they've tried it. Like, people have tried it before. Like, look at Crunch. Like, there was a lot of investment in Crunch originally to get that to go outside. And
did they?
Years ago, yeah. And maybe the climate's changed, and maybe there's an opportunity there that I've not seen. But I would say, anyone going up against international brands in a software space has got their work cut out for them.
I mean, you know that more than anyone, right?
Yeah, I mean, like practice management, okay, in the UK, actually, in a lot of ways, when you look at other countries' practice management solutions, the UK lead the way in what's available and how it all works, and the quality of it. So, but Engager isn't up against any worldwide brands in practice management, really. Like, not that I've got a huge foothold, like the likes of QuickBooks have got a huge foothold across the world. Xero's got a huge foothold across the world. Sage has got this huge foothold across the world. I'd argue that probably the only successful app and software for bookkeeping and accounting out there at the moment that's got a place at that table, and is only UK orientated, is Free Agent. But then they've got RBS behind them. Like,
unlimited chat, basically, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's a hell of a tough industry to get into versus any other industry, any other software niche in the UK industry at the moment. So if you're going to make it a success, you do need the likes of tried and tested people who have got success stories like Gary to come and show you the way. And even then, it's hard work ahead.
100%. I think for me, like tinfoil hat moment, but Xero Go was a failure. Mazuma has an opportunity to take that freemium model for the first time. Like, that's if I was looking at where I would position my product.
Was Xero Go just a failure because of the way they launched it, they pitched it, they developed it? Like, I wouldn't say it's.
I would argue that was their best solution they've brought in a long time. Like, that was the one bit of Xero that made me go, oh, that's interesting.
As much as you and I despise QuickBooks Self-Employed for years, it has been the success that it needed to be, because it was an app that your end user just downloaded and got on with. It was the gateway drug to the bookkeeping world. And
arguably better in some respects, because it was simpler, right? Like, it was just a left, swipe right, swipe left, swipe right.
If you're looking at a list of QuickBooks Self-Employed, Xero Go, Counting Up, Mazuma, etc. on your app store, and you don't have an accountant or bookkeeper, what do you go for? You go for QuickBooks or Xero because you actually recognize those brands and stuff like that. So there's a brand recognition exercise I think they need to run to try and get a wider understanding.
I think MTD will change the face of that, won't it? Because people are going to have to be forced into the first time, and And I do see, like, if they could get the workflow right, this is a brilliant opportunity for them to get those clients who are happy to do it all themselves, but just want it to be checked over. Like, if they can get the AML and onboarding and all that sort of stuff to be absolutely slick, which that's what Mazuma does best, right? They got those workflows, they understand it, they understand what they're, they understand how to do things on volume. They could be that perfect soundboard for, right, NTDs come in, here's a bit of software to help you submit it, and here's a one-off £100, £50, whatever the price point is going to be, a charge every year for us to check it before we press submit for you.
Yeah,
they could build that in, right? They could, because we've trialed it for a long time, an MOT solution, and it works really well. It's a great opportunity for us to sell our services. It's a great way for that gateway drug you just said there. Yeah, we do an MOT for a client and go, yeah, you've done that spot on, don't need an accountant, go for it. Or, you know what, you've completely messed this up, your choice, but I would recommend using someone like ourselves to do it for you, because you're going to end up in the mess if you don't. And they've got that opportunity to be better at that than anyone else in the planet, because they can decide how that software works, right? How the workflow of that goes in, how to tell a client that, oh, before we even check it, we've noticed you haven't reconciled your bank yet, or you know what I mean? Like, give them that checklist beforehand. They could build it in. They own this technology. They can do what they want. And I really do see that as a great opportunity for them, with someone like Gary at the head, just to go, right, let's get this right for the consumer. Let's make it so that it's a software that they love to use it. I mean, I think they could absolutely nail it. And we've got some people coming into the chat. We've got good morning to Sadi, good morning to Dave, good morning. Purple says Kirsty, so it was a purple one. Greg says morning. Tim says there's still a small use case for envelopes for people who just cannot remember to scan, photograph their receipts. We have a free post address for them. Brilliant. Yeah, and I think that's where Mazuma's always been that opportunity, right? It's all about working with the client, isn't it? Like, yeah, you probably not got time to scan this in. Sounds great, but here's a purple solution.
We used to have envelopes back in the day. Like, when I first started my firm, we used to have envelopes that would go out and they would sit in tradies' vans and stuff. Now, we had them back in the day because mobile phone signal back in. So I was up in rural Perthshire, rural Scotland. Like, the mobile phone signal, if you're lucky, you got 2G. If you're really lucky, you might have got a couple of bars of 3G. So submitting receipts and stuff just wasn't a thing back there. Technology-wise, it wasn't feasible.
Yeah.
But what we have seen is, as that rollout of internet and stuff's got better, the demand for envelopes basically disappeared. But yeah, there is still going to be some use cases where, I mean, that was the east coast of Scotland. If I was on the west coast of Scotland operating my accounting firm, then I'd still be running a lot of envelopes, because they've still got such poor mobile phone reception and internet over that side. So yeah, it's understanding your demographic. And if you go into somewhere which has got absolutely awful internet and stuff, and you try and get people to use Dext, auto entry, etc., then they've got no chance.
And also, we're privileged to have the hardware to make it super simple, right? Like, we've got fancy scanners that can, you just put it in there and it'll just scan and put it, OCR it and split it all up and all that sort of stuff. As a client, if they've got a load to put in, from Tim's point of view there, the idea that they just send it over, get it over to them, is probably a perfect solution, isn't it? Sage says, or Sage Individual, free or £4 for some extras. MTD, is on its way, and there will be some huge software decisions to make in the next 400-ish days. Ouch. Let's not say 400-ish days. That's scary thought, isn't it? Yeah, 100%. And I think Sage Individual is a great shout there, isn't it? In terms of an option out there, it is there with this Zero Go, which obviously came and failed, QuickBooks Self-Employed or Solopreneur, whatever we want to call it going forward. But I still, even, obviously I'm a big advocate for QuickBooks Self-Employed. I love the product. I think the new one's going to be good as well, but we still don't have that control. Like, even with Sage Individual, we still don't have that control of going, right, well done, client, you've done X, Y, Z. But before we even touch this, before we even go to do your set of accounts or do your tax return or whatever compliance work we've got to do for your file MTD, here's a checklist. Here's the bare minimum we need to do before we're ready. Because imagine the workflow in the client engager. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, that client's ready to do their tax return, right? It's records requested has been records received has been automatically updated for us because they've gone through and now maybe they've done it right, maybe they've done it wrong, but at least we know then that's the demographic of clients that we can actually start putting our time and energy into because they've done it. Whereas those other clients, they've not even touched it yet, they haven't updated their bank yet, so we're not going to touch them. We're just going to send them a reminder and they keep pushing on. You know, it all depends on your price point of the client, but if you want to go for the Mizuno world,
if QuickBooks Zero and so on surface that information on their APIs,
but they don't even have the UI in product to give the client that, right? So
we've got the bookkeeping checklist, but it's really manual. And but if we could push that,
one of them has a bookkeeping checklist.
Well, yes,
in product. Yeah, but the rest of them don't. Do you know what I mean? Like they would need to build that in, and it has to be client facing, and that's the bit that I still feel like the softwares are letting us down as accountants. Like we.
But then, do we need to use Dex Precision or Xenon to generate? Like, right, you're a self-assessment client. You do your own stuff. Here's a Xenon report that says your health score is 70%. Here's a list of all the areas that are issues. It's only taken me 30 seconds to click and send that. Like, we're not prepared to approve your tax return until you achieve 95% health score.
I'd argue though the problem with that is that you're then having to. There's a teach there, right? There's a teach the client of 75% means what? This figure here means what? Do you know what I mean? We've got to explain to them the reason you got 75 was because of this. The reason you got, to get to 80.
Yeah, it bullet points the whole report of, right, these are crucial areas. Like, you've not reconciled all your bank transactions and there's 50 left to do.
But some people don't know what reconcile means. If there was a link,
so how do we educate them in the product then? Because you're right, but
in the product it could be a literal link to click here, takes them to that reconciliation. Do you know what I mean? Like we could encourage them.
Tell them what. So if we're saying, oh, you need to go reconcile your bank, and you're just going, well, how do I do that? What do I do? Just taking them to the page isn't going to help. You're going to need a walkthrough guide. You're going to need to explain the importance of I don't know if any
walkthrough of clicking here takes you here and you need to do this is so much easier than here's your report. This report means this and this report means that. And going through the scenarios, I just feel like, yeah, you're right. Xenon is a great idea and a great shout, but I still think that's an accountant product, isn't it? And a bookkeeper product. Like, we love that because we understand it. We live and breathe those. And like you're the same as me. You'll see a score and you want to. It's gamification, isn't it? Right? And we'll want to beat it. We want to. But I think for a client, they just need it to be simple. This, and this.
But we've got to work with what we've got at the moment. So if you want to achieve what you're looking for now, Xenon might help you with that, or Dex Precision, or whatever.
Yeah. I just the scale. If you want to go for the Mazuma client base, you can't. It wouldn't work, would it? What we got for a client willing to pay a nice fee, perfect, and it works really well. And I've got loads of examples of that. But when we go down to the scale of just someone who wants to have the tax return done once a year, it doesn't work like that. The technology is not there for us at the moment. Like, the software is not on the same wave for us. And this is why I'm saying for Mazuma, they could dominate that market, right? Because they could build it to their specification. They can make it easy for it, and they can go through from there. So we'll see. We'll see what Gary Turner can do. But I do feel like that's where they can come to the table and be way better than what we can do as a collective at the moment, right? With the software we've got.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Unless free agent wants to come down to, like, they're the
very simple. Right.
Yeah.
So
they are the one at the moment that I feel like has that capability of doing it, and they're very, they want to help you, like the client engagers of the world have access to APIs and stuff. So
yeah, their APIs are better than anything else we've seen, really. But like the fact that on free agent, a client can go in, do their books. They can't really go wrong with their books because the free agent's restrictive to make sure they can't. which I know accountants and bookkeepers aren't a fan of, but it keeps the client right. But also, like, I think they're the only one where the client can actually just file a self-assessment tax return from free agent.
I don't think
So-
it's client facing. I think it should be, but yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah. Oh,
I
is it
don't know
now,
if
is it?
CP600s are, but I think SA100s are. Yeah, they've always been ahead of that kind of software compared to other bigger companies. So yeah, it's an interesting market. I think, you know, Mazuma will be I would probably put them higher up on the radar for free agent than I would QuickBooks or Xero at this time.
Well, that's a market.
Or Sage.
Yeah.
But
I mean, your Mazumas of the world could even create it as and free agent could go down this route, right? The client literally completes their own tax return, but sends it for review before it gets submitted to. And there's whatever the fees involved to get that done, and AML checks and all that lot can be done nicely in the platform. That's what Mazuma has the opportunity to do, right?
Yep.
That's the exciting bit, isn't it? Then there's a volume out there of people who, you know, for a low cost fee, I can complete my own tax return all on this one platform. I press it for review, goes off to someone who knows what they're doing. They'll come back to me. They'll say it's right or wrong. Press submit.
Yeah,
you know, that's a dream scenario for that. If you want to go for that client base, personally, it's probably not the client base we would be looking at, but no. there's definitely an opportunity out there for someone to grab that client base, isn't it?
I suppose they're going for that whole QuickBooks Live model that's over in America, where the client does the work in America. QuickBooks Live team assess it and do whatever they need to do, depending on what, you know, have you paid for a review? Have you paid for a partially started one that we come and finish, or have you paid for us to do it from start to end? So Mazuma are coming into that way. So I suppose in theory, Mazuma then becomes a competitor with you and I as accountants and bookkeepers, because Mazuma are trying to do software and the bookkeeping and tax return. So yeah, it would be
amazing. And that's why for me it's like hashtag goals at the beginning, because to be in that position, like, hats off to Mazuma, hats off for all the hard work they've got to get in there. But the fact that they're not just an accounting firm, right? There's that technology firm. It's very similar to what you guys have got and Andy's got. Like, it's not just an accounting firm, you've got that software element to it as well. Like, that's got to be it's a much more exciting role, isn't it, than just, oh, let's make sure our tax returns are filed on time. It's, oh, what else can we do? How can we improve that workflow? And actually have a say in improving that workflow. Because I spend most of my time looking at ways to improve workflows and everything else and try and find ways, but I'm always restricted to what is in front of me, like what software I already have. Whereas, you know, in theory, it's a blank canvas and we'll build what you want to build, right? And I think that's really exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it does help.
Cool. Yeah. Speaking of being really exciting, how about the idea of being able to do receipt capture from a mobile phone device? Let's have a look how Apron achieves it.
I'm here with my friends over at Apron, our new sponsor, and we've got an amazing feature that just went live. It's called Capture, and this is going to revolutionize the way you get data from your client. Watch this. Get the receipt, take the photo, bish, bash, done. That's it. This is going to be dead quick, dead straightforward, dead simple, and more importantly, it's easy for your clients to use. Did I tell you you got WhatsApp as well? What more do you want?
Can I say the word dead more times in 1 30-second?
And I'll say it again this week, as I say it every week. That WhatsApp feature, just deal breaker. Like, it's fantastic.
They've rolled out another update for Android users for offline. I've not been able to play with it yet, but offline taking photos. I'll have a play with it. I keep meaning to do a video for it on the channel, but so interesting.
The WhatsApping bit's just phenomenal. And the thing is, I'm now looking at other platforms for other tools and going, oh, is there a WhatsApp option? Like, could you WhatsApp my client, please? Because that's what they'll probably respond on.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I know we've had the conversation many times, but is there a place for WhatsApp and in Practice Manager at a price point that's actually worthwhile? We can only dream, right? Like, The
problem is WhatsApp's so expensive. So WhatsApp works out at 7 or 8p a message, and that there's no bulk offering there. That is just for every message that's sent through the WhatsApp APIs, it's 7 or 8p, whereas a text message is 3p. Like, yeah, and yet
It's strange, isn't it?
text messages have to go through no mobile phone networks, and it's mad.
Doesn't
But
make
yeah,
sense.
it's a very expensive tool if you're not using within WhatsApp. So yeah, still want to keep an eye on, see what ultimately for WhatsApp to be a completely viable option, we need WhatsApp to, aka Facebook, aka Meta, to actually make the costs more reasonable.
Yeah.
But I think the only way they're going to be willing to do that is if they're allowed to put like ads into the WhatsApp app itself. So
yeah, we'll just make it all one big platform and everyone one chat box from Meta to rule them all: Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, all in one thing, and it makes it worthwhile then because you connect into all of those platforms at once, right? Yeah. We'll see. Bright increases prices of payroll. Do you have the numbers in front of you as to what's going on here? What numbers are going there?
But basically, from what I've read, this is the Bright desktop solution, which has, personally, in my opinion,
only desktop.
They announced far too cheap, far too long. I would say that they should have put these prices up gradually over the last 5 years with all the complications of furlough and stuff like that going in. But hey, they've decided just to whack it up now. Some of these tariffs haven't gone up all that much. So I think it was like 50 to 70 payrolls, employer businesses, sorry, that you run payroll for. I think it only increased by 90 quid a year. So it wasn't unreasonable. The bit that's got the backlash is the unlimited version, which for years has been like 750, just under £800 a year. Now it's like £1,500 a year. So that's caused some upset. But you know what? They're going to look around and they're going to realize actually the cloud solutions are even more expensive. So they won't touch that, because if they're whinging about £1,500 a year, they're definitely going to whinge about £1,500 a month.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I suppose MoneySoft and other payroll softwares will look into it, and that desktop solutions will benefit from this. I struggle to believe that this is going to drive people from desktop to cloud, because the price gap's still too phenomenal.
And that's got to be their aim, right?
Yeah. Whether they're driving it to their cloud solution or to a competitor's cloud solution, I don't, But yeah, the price gap's still too big. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is an annual price increase we start seeing, where the jumps are getting bigger and bigger to try and encourage us onto cloud to save money. But they're having to do it slowly, I think. As always, tinfoil hats. But yeah, I mean, that what was interesting is that then got me looking and digging around and stuff, and I found, let me find who it was exactly. But yeah, you have to work blooming hard to achieve what I found. Not to find it, but to actually achieve what they've achieved. So I was looking at like, what other payroll solutions are out there? Like, yes, we've got Buddy that we're starting to use, but you've got Fresh Pay, you've got Pay Circle. There's lots out there. And I came across Staffology. It's like, I don't think I've heard about this.
Yeah.
Like Trustpilot, their reviews on Trustpilot are not good. Like, I know how hard it is to get people to give reviews on any platform, from an accounting business or a software business. To achieve 20 one-star reviews and 1 2-star review and get an average score of 1.7, that is a fine art. Not a good one, but the effort they have to have gone to and the consistency of absolute awfulness you have to be to achieve that is phenomenal. I think Engage on its worst day once got a 3-star review. Like, yeah, it's just mind-boggling, and they're all quite recent as well.
I would imagine that, unlike Engager, where, let's be honest, like, to upset someone with that to get a 1-star review, you've got to do something pretty terrible to them, right? It's got to be down to the customer service or something, right? It wouldn't be the product.
Every single one of these says the product's great, the support is awful.
Oh, okay, because I would have imagined that the issue would have been that they couldn't run a payroll in time and they missed a payroll run, or the software wouldn't let them submit, or you know what I mean? Like I've had it before with payroll where because we know how real time it has to be, and how we've said before, the reason there's no actual innovation in the space is because you're spending most of their time making sure that the payroll's right, which is the whole point of doing a payroll, right? So yeah, I kind of get where there's definitely a more risky appetite there, isn't it? Because if your payroll solution's doing great, you tend to just go, yeah, that's great, that's fantastic. Would you go out your way to write a review of it? Probably not. Yeah. But when it goes wrong, you need to tell the world about it, because you're annoyed, because you're the one who's now not paid your employees, or whatever whatever the issue's been, right? Exactly. I think that's one of the reasons why they would be definitely far more, there's going to be more people waiting or ready to get their pitchforks out because of problems like that, right?
Yeah, and it just shows that you can have the best software in the world, and without the customer service and customer support behind it, it'll go nowhere.
Yeah, exactly right.
But yeah, so Bright put their prices up. Any of the tariffs below unlimited, they weren't unreasonable increases, like £90 a month. I did see someone on Facebook say, look, it's £90 a month for this bracket increase, which is what I've got to suffer. I spend more, and he broke it down to like a monthly increase. And he said, I spend more on coffee in a week than I would in that increase. Like, what's the problem? And I really like that attitude and that approach to it, and that analogy. But yeah, okay, your Bright unlimited payrolls, like, yeah, it's gone up by £800 a year, but actually, in the grand scheme of things, compared to using cloud software at the moment, that's still an absolute bargain.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see if it creates anything. I mean, it seems to have created a bit of an upsurge. Like, people are talking about it on social media and stuff, and people are talking about moving. But the moment they start talking to cloud providers and they go, it's how much per payslip per month. Like, they're just like, you cannot. And I have sat and done training sessions with QuickBooks team members in the past. I've spoken to numerous payroll softwares in the past about how they pitch the cloud payroll solution, and the pitch is the efficiency, the time saving.
Yeah, exactly.
But to make that cash flow viable, you need to see wage bills go down, and that means redundancies, and people don't want to make anyone redundant. And it's like, actually, well, no. Or they just look at it and go, well, this is how much I pay now per year for software. That's how much I pay there per year per software. And they've not taken into account the growth, the capacity, planning, etc. So, yeah, I don't think this is actually going to result in a huge amount of movement, like it seems everyone thinks it will on social media. But it's another step in the right direction of encouraging people onto cloud.
Yeah, and fair play to Bright for bringing out this time of the year, right? Like, this is the perfect time. They're going to do a price increase. Do it now.
Yeah, because you're not going to pay for this until February, March next year, ready. So you've got plenty of warning. You've got plenty of time to go, okay, we need to look at our options. It's not like you're announcing this on the 15th of March for the license to be purchased in 2 weeks' time, and you go, crap, I haven't got time to go and deal with all of this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and no one wants to be moving midway through a payroll cycle, right? Like payroll, like it's just too much headache and too much pain, right? Natasha says, I do the envelope thing. So back to the envelopes. A lot of my smaller clients who don't have smartphones. I mean, I get it actually. I mean, from a Bofix point of view, It's a prerequisite. If they don't have a smartphone, they don't come on board. But I do have some Apple Core clients who, I've said the story before, but I asked for a CSV file as opposed to a PDF bank statement, and they left me because I was being too unreasonable about it. So it's, yeah, it happens, right? Like that, they're going to be clients out there. Kirsty says, love MoneySoft. Oh, good shout out to MoneySoft over there. So Kirsty's an advocate for the MoneySoft software. So good, but yeah, we're happy-ish at the moment with our payroll provider, but yeah, we don't know what else, where else to go next. New segment of the show. We're going to trial this. We'll see what it's like. We're doing social post of the week that got our attention. We might need a snappier name for it going forward. It's something that rolls off the tongue a little bit more. But I spotted it was I'm hosting this week, so it was my look out there for a post that caught my eye, and I went for Lorna Shake Chef's post on LinkedIn, which goes with, today I've just been working through HubDoc for a client and noticed a receipt for £18.50 trying to sneak into Xero for, wait for it, £10,118.15. Either way, it's wrong, right?
Has the decimal place in the commas upset the accountant in the room?
There was no comma. That's what's upset me.
Oh.
And there's too many zeros for me to count it. Yeah, and then goes on to say about how it pays to have a trained eye looking for transactions from time to time. Software AI is without a huge time saver, but incorrect coding, settlement account, back codes, trusting, all those are the issues that we've got. And then went on to actually showcase how wrong they've got it. And the comments lit up, as you can imagine, with similar issues, similar problems, and going through from there. Now, my initial reaction is, and if you've not watched my video, then please do go and see it. Not surprised with HubDoc, if I'm completely honest. In fact, I'm surprised it was that close to being correct. You know what I mean? That's actually not
the right
if you do a
currency.
percentage of how yeah, if you do a percentage of how close it was, that's not too bad in my eyes. But yeah, all jokes aside, I think it's a good point, isn't it? Like, that's what we're here to do. That's what we add the value for, isn't it? Like, the client could have easily, if they'd done it themselves, could have easily just pressed publish and had an issue. Hopefully they would have spotted it at this sort of difference, but that's what we're there to do, right? Like, these solutions aren't designed to get rid of us. They're designed to give us chance to be more efficient, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I would argue the first problem she's got is she's using HubDoc. If she was using Dext, Auto Entry, or Apron, I don't think they'd have probably flagged that and stopped it. And they generally are better and more accurate at reading documents, or reading it going, I don't know, and going, no. And when I was talking to Apron about receipt capture and they were first building it, like I said to them, I don't want any guesswork here. If you're not sure, it goes into the list of unpublished. Like, you need absolute certainty that you are sure that these numbers are right and this date's right, etc. There's even 1% uncertainty, it should go into this pile for me to manually review. So there are softwares that do that now. I don't know if HubDoc has that, what their error range is, and is that, oh, we've read this, we're not 100% confident, but we'll publish it anyway. So yeah, it's people ranting on about, oh, this software needs a human intervention and stuff. The software just needs to be better, I would argue, and it can easily be better because there's other people out there doing the softwares that do it better. But yeah, I mean, there's always going to be a place for it, but ultimately, do bookkeepers and accountants want to be going through this, all these receipts, or should we be spending our time doing more valuable stuff? So yeah, it's always going to get the naysayers about technology riled up on these posts. But I would still say that's probably, I'd like to think it's a minority. And most people embrace it and they understand that there's risk of error in the same way that there's a risk of error when a human enters information. Like, you know, you slip and put the colon in the wrong place, or you miss a zero and that's it. It's, instead of putting a receipt through for £180, you put a receipt through for £18. So I would say there's more chance of a human error than there is a blooming computer error. But yeah, I'm not worried. Basically, I mean, I'm worried that she's using HubDoc, and that's part of the problem. But like having worked with people like Apron in the past and gone, right, this is what isn't like, and there was a whole conversation about this whole confidence in the reading and acceptable area, like gray space. It's like, no, there is no gray space. Like, if you flagged it and if you've gone, that doesn't look like quite right, then you need to put that for manual review instead of auto publish. So yeah, the right tools have got the right solutions for this, and it's probably down to the lack of innovation in HubDoc and development in HubDoc in the last 5 years that's caused that problem.
But my point for this is, this was a Tesco receipt. So I've done tests before where I've found really obscure ones, and I purposely found ones that are horrible to read. Like, let's test the boundaries. Let's, my perfect example is that Lebanese we love at Excel, where instead of putting, because they're not VAT registered, so there's no VAT on it, but they put their tips in the area that you'd expect to see VAT. And I love throwing that at the software to go, see if do you think this is VAT? Are you going to try and pick it up, right? So those obscure ones, fair enough. They're going to be, there's going to be a difference between if they get this right or wrong. But a Tesco receipt, I mean, that should be, how many Tesco receipts must they have charged through in their algorithm? How many times have they gone through it? Like, if you can't get Tesco right, what chance are you in terms of the more obscure ones? I think that, to me, is my frustration with it. And HubDoc were the one who got the worst results out of mine in terms of how bad they were and how inefficient they were in terms of just practically, just like you said, just doing it yourself almost. So it's frustrating, isn't it? But the reason people use HubDoc is purely because it's free of charge, isn't it? Isn't that the reason?
But there you go. Just because it's free as a software doesn't mean it's free of your human time. How, like, if you're having to check every entry, then that's not free.
Yeah,
that costs probably more than having decent software does.
Because I believe HubDoc, you can connect to QuickBooks and Sage and post to wherever you want, right? So that's what it's popular for, isn't it? Great price point and works with all your software. Yeah. I don't. Do you have to pay if you go to QuickBooks? I imagine so. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, my stipulation with anything that's free is actually work out how much it's going to cost you in labour. Because if you're having to check every receipt, then it's pointless.
100%. Kirsty said, so that shows how much a real person is needed. Reviews and checks. Hopefully, it wasn't paid at that. Yeah,
exactly. The Tesco receipts, it had already been paid at £18 something, so it's not like it was a bill. But yeah, but then at that point as well, like when you're running a payables list, that's checked manually anyway. So like, there's plenty of points where it could have been spotted, but in my opinion, the software should never have auto-published that.
Yeah. And if the client have seen that, like, imagine it was one of those where you only see the client, look at the books maybe once a quarter or something, and they jump in and their bank balance is minus 100k because of what's gone through the bank. Like, you know what I mean? It's going to look bad on you, isn't it? Like, they're the sort of things where you've just got to be a little bit more careful on, isn't it?
Or you just want a software that actually has better, A, it reads it better and quicker, but B, it goes, no, we don't have tolerances of error. If we're not if the software is not confident it's done it 100% right, it just puts it into the manual pile for you to do manually.
Yeah, and the danger is with Xero, there's no reconciliation feature, so you might not even spot it. 100k here, 100k there. I mean, normally they have 20k profit this year. They've got minus 80. No reconciliation process in Xero, so must be right. You know what I mean? Xero said it's right, must be right. So yeah.
Wonderful. And on that show cancelling note,
that's how it works in Xero, isn't it? You just
move on.
Must be right. And with that, we are at the end of today's Ask the Accountant. Join us next week
for the Accountant podcast series. I mean, that's it, just cancelled.
Come at me, Zero. Come on, you. I dare you, Zero fanboys and girls, come at me. Right. What was I going to say? That's a new feature, by the way. Social media post of the week that we thought was worthwhile bringing onto the show. Again, we need a snappier name. But if you like that idea, let us know in the comments below. Let us know if that's something you want us to bring back on a regular basis, because I quite like jumping into some of the juicier comments out there, and we can chew the fat, so they say. Johann, what you got planned for the week then? Anything exciting? Anything we should be looking out for?
What week is it? The 12th to the 1st. Nothing planned major. Nope. Just lots of work to crack on with. Yeah, lots and lots going on at Engager. So need to catch up on all of that and see how we're doing. Lots of changes to like onboarding processes and stuff. Just trying to make it an easier job to implement and understand Engager when you start out. So lots and lots of things in the help center being revamped and stuff like that.
Love that.
So yeah,
Love that.
watch this.
Good. Sounds good. And for me, it's just a week of just getting my head down, getting some stuff done. Got some big things happening next week. So, and an even bigger thing, well, less big the week after because I'm on holiday, but yeah, away from it. But yeah, so yeah, just get my head down, get stuff done, and we'll go from there.
Don't worry, folks. If you're worried that Aaron's going on holiday, don't worry. I've already got co-hosts lined up, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll have something a little bit different for the 2 weeks Aaron's off skiving in Las Vegas.
Yeah, going international, I heard, which I'm excited to hear.
We are. We are going international. So there's water involved.
Yeah. They're not on the mainland, put it that way.
Yeah.
that's as much as a clue we're going to give.
Yeah.
But fantastic. Oh, and Natasha says she likes the social media post idea, so that's one upvote for it. So, but if anyone doesn't like it, let us know. And you never know, it might be your post that we talk about next week. Right, well, thank you so much for listening to us and coming along for our little podcast, a little chance to set the world right every Monday morning at 8:38 a.m. Don't forget, we'll be here live each and every Monday morning, so why not join us live if you're listening back to it later time. But for now, that is it from us. It's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
Cheerio.